Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so this week's chapter was basically just all set up, just like last week's chapter was set up for the war against the elves. This week's chapter was basically just all set up for the fight between Asta and Yuno versus new elf that showed up to attack their home village. But even though this chapter was basically just all set up, we did kind of get some like new information or some new things that could lead to development for Asta later on in the series, as well as possibly some new information about Sister Lily that we didn't know about before. Now I could be reading too much into the Sister Lily part, but we did find out some new information that could possibly give us a little bit more of her backstory in this chapter. Okay, so as soon as the chapter starts off, we see the people of Hage Village actually kind of just looking at the demon skull that's basically been sitting outside their village this entire time. And they see like they're like, all right, wait, what the fuck were those like glowing lights in the sky? Because they saw the blades, so like the arrows that Patrick was actually gonna rain down on the people until Julius stopped them. And they're like, all right, was that a magic trick? Like, what was going on? And then they see like the dungeon, like literally the elves' home base, the dungeon, floating over the skull, heading towards their village. And they're like, what's that? And that's when this elf that comes to attack the village just shows us like, hey, that's my people, and they're not here for you. They're heading towards the capital, but I am here for you guys. So you're all just gonna die right here, right now. So he goes on the attack, and that's when we actually check in with Asta and Yuno. And this is actually what I was talking about when I said development for Asta. It's because we actually see he's all healed up now, thanks to Nozel's magic item that he actually lent him last chapter. And when he tries to give it back to Nozel, Nozel actually tells him that he could just do what he wants with it. So Asta's like, all right, well, I'm going to keep it then. And this is why I say this actually could be a little bit of development for Asta in the future, because what's the one thing we know about Asta when it comes to him fighting? He gets injured pretty fucking easily. He gets injured pretty badly because he just goes all in on fights. And unless there's a healer there to help him out, he after every fight he pretty much ends up banged up and like basically on the verge of death. If we're talking video game terms, Asta's a tank. He's a tank. He goes in there and does a lot of damage, but he easily takes just as much damage as he deals out. And basically he needs a healer at all times to keep him afloat. Now, if he actually has his magic item, assuming it's not a one-time use, the hero role just doesn't matter anymore for him, because after every fight, after he actually ends up winning the fight, no matter how damaged he is, he just takes a few minutes, uses that magic item to heal up, and he's good to go for the next fight. And you know what? Hopefully this actually does lead to that development, like he actually keeps that magic item and is actually useful in the future, because he's not changing his fighting style. Asta's not going to change his fighting style in order to be like basically take less damage. And really, even if he tried to, it wouldn't matter, because he usually ends up fighting people that are actually way stronger than him, and he actually ends up taking a lot of damage because of that, and he has to pull out all his stops and push past his limits in order to win the fights. Now, if he's actually fighting against someone who's weaker than him, then yeah, sure, that magic item's not going to really be useful, because he's not going to take much damage fighting that person. But when it comes to cases like when he's fighting Patry or when he's fighting Lich, he's going to take a lot of damage in those fights, so he's going to need that item. Unless he has Mimosa backing him up to heal him, he's going to need that item. Anyway, as they're flying over, they notice that Hage Village is actually being attacked, and Asta and Yuno are like, we gotta stop right here and help them out. And Nozel actually tells them, no, we actually, as Magic Knights, we have a job to protect the capital above all else, so we're heading to the capital to stop the elves from attacking that. And they're like, no. Or not even, Yuno doesn't really say anything in the chapter, he kind of just says Hage Village for a second. But Asta's basically arguing, no, we need to go back in there and we need to protect our village, that's our hometown. And Nozel actually, this is actually kind of a little bit of character development for Nozel. It kind of going on what we got from last chapter, where it basically says, hey, you two can go. You two can go and protect your village. But you two are assets. You two are important in this fight. So no matter what happens, you make your way back to the capital, because we need you. And it's actually kind of interesting, because he not only it's basically just showing Nozel has kind of a newfound respect for Asta, Yuno, and Noel in this chapter, because he tells that to those two, that he tells them that they're important for this fight and that they are needed in order to protect the capital, which is something that when we first met him he would never have admitted. And then when Noel says, hey, I'm going to go in there and help them out because they're my friends and I want to help them protect their hometown, he basically tells her no. He's like, no, your job is, your royalty, your job is to go with us to protect the capital. And it shows her that it shows a flashback to basically the first time we saw them interact in the series, and it shows that just shows how much character growth the guy has, because back then he would not basically consider Noelle his sister or royalty for that matter, unless he was belittling her. And in this chapter, he actually uses that as a compliment to say, no, you are needed as a Magic Knight to help protect the capital right now. So you can't just go off to fight with your friends. You need to actually do your job. Then we check in with Hage Village, and we see that this elf is basically taking out a lot of people, and he's actually taking out, I forget what his name is, but the guy who runs the church, the father, who actually runs the church that Asta and them grew up in. And we see that Sister Lily is still up. She's trying to protect the kids and the father from being attacked even more. And she's actually pretty heavily damaged herself, and she's basically telling the guy, you have no right to attack these people because they struggle every day just to live. As commoners, they struggle every day just to get by, and they don't deserve to die a horrible ending like this. And he actually comes up, and this is actually kind of when I said that we get a little bit of backstory for Sister Lily. Because he's looking at her, and he's watching her, and he's like seeing how big of a fight she's putting up, and he's like, huh, are you royalty? And when I saw that, I was thinking to myself, wait, is she royalty? So I went back and checked the wiki, and the wiki doesn't really have any backstory information on Sister Lily. There's not really much that we know about her before the beginning of the series. But now, like I said, I could just be reading too much into this, but who knows? Like I said, we don't really know that much about Sister Lily's backstory. So for all we know, she actually could be royalty, and for some reason, instead of becoming a magic knight or becoming, just staying as royalty, she decided to become a sister. Maybe she's kind of like Noel, and she realizes that the way the royalty treats commoners is kind of, horrible, so she wanted to change that. Or maybe her royal family just went into poverty, and basically she couldn't support or stay in the capital anymore because, they lost all their wealth and their power. Like I said, we don't know, and hopefully we actually get a little bit more information about her in the future. Anyway, after she gives her speech, the elf actually goes to attack her one last time, and this is actually when we see little Nash, the little brat that was giving Asta shit in the beginning of the series. We see him actually flashback to Asta, and showing them, basically saying that he basically has to protect everyone from now on since they're gone. So he jumps in the way, and it looks like he's about to use fire magic in order to try to block the attack. But before he can actually even really do anything, Asta jump in, they block the attack, they save the day, and it's basically just them saying, hey, you did your job. You did good, but let us take over from here. And that's where the chapter ends. Now, I do want to point out something. They say in the... Now, I do want to kind of point out something, and it's kind of a little nitpick I had. And it's basically, when I was reading the chapter, they did say that the elf was a former magic knight that's attacking them. Or, and I do kind of want to point out something, and this is a little bit of a nitpick for me. Basically, we see that the elf that's attacking the village actually is a magic knight, and I tried to figure out what magic order he was from, and I couldn't match the symbol on his vest to all the other magic order symbols. But when I looked at Sister Lily's bio to get some back information on her, it said in her bio that this magic knight that's actually attacking the village, that as an elf, actually is from the Purple Orcas, and I'm not sure if they're just assuming this. Because like I said, the emblem on his chest or the emblem on his vest doesn't really match any of the magic order's emblems as far as I could tell. And I guess the closest one would be the Purple Orcas. So I guess I can understand why they would actually assume that, yeah, this person is a Purple Orca. But when I was looking at the Purple Orca's member list, as far as we know them, he doesn't resemble any of the people that are on that list. So I'm not exactly sure where they're getting this information. Like I said, maybe it's just that they realize that the Purple Orca's emblem is the one that kind of resembles it the most. But, yeah, I don't know. But that's pretty much all that happens in the chapter. Like I said, we got possibly some development for Asta when it comes to his battle powers later on in the future. Some little bits of hints of, possibly backstory for Sister Lily. And some pretty good development for Nozel as far as, character development goes. So, even though the setup chapter was pretty good. So, if I was still giving ratings, if I gave ratings for my chapters, I'd probably give this, a 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't that important, but it was actually pretty good altogether. But yeah, that's it for the chapter. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts and theories. And if you're confused by the fact that my name's changed on YouTube, don't be. I'm just actually playing around with new name ideas. So yeah, that's basically it for the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.